I am terrified of Chelsea's ownership. What they want, what they hope to get out of owning Chelsea Football Club, what they want Chelsea Football Club to be, what they see the future of football in this country being, terrifies me. I think that they are trying to not only destabilise the Premier League, but change it forever. What motivates them? You know, when we have a fit and proper person's test, we never really ask why. So let's do it now. Let's see if we can explore this. So Todd Boehly spent a fortune on Chelsea. Todd Boehly and a consortium overpaid drastically for Chelsea. Now, why did they do that? It's a question that nobody ever asks. You know, when we do the fit and proper person's test, we want to know where the money comes from, that the money is clean, that the money can be traced, and all of those things are incredibly important. But something that I think we should also explore is the simple question of why. So why do Todd Boehly, Begdad Agbali, Clearlake Capital, why do they want to buy Chelsea? Is it because since they were children, they dreamed of owning a football club? Probably not. Is it because Todd Boehly has been a lifelong fan of Chelsea? He fell in love with the club as Chelsea beat Leeds United in 1970 at Old Trafford. David Webb scoring that glorious header at the far post. Probably not. Maybe Egbali fell in love with Chelsea when he was in Monaco, and he happened to be there as Gustavo Poyet scored a wonderful goal set up by Gianfranco Zola against Real Madrid as we lifted the Super Cup in 1998. Probably not. Maybe they just want to enhance Chelsea Football Club and ensure the furtherance of Chelsea Football Club. No, it's not that. It's money in it. I'm pretty sure it's old-fashioned pie and mash, don't you think? A bit of bread and honey, pound, shilling and pence. I think that is why they wanted to buy Chelsea, because they believe that they can turn their already significant investment into something even more significant. They have bought Chelsea purely for financial gain. Now, should that be allowed? Before we answer that question, what we should do is probably have a conversation about what is the point of a football owner. To be totally frank with you, I don't like referring to people who own football clubs as owners, because I don't think your responsibility should be viewed through the prism of ownership. You don't own it. You don't own the football club. The point of your being there, the point of you having a football club is to look after it, to nurture it. I have a child. I don't own it. I don't own my daughter. She is mine. She's in my care. I am a custodian, and I need to do everything to make sure that she is in the safest possible hands and she will thrive in the future. That is what owning a football club is. A football club is an institution. It's not a commodity. A football club is a pillar of its community with history and heritage that needs to be nurtured and protected. And if you end up owning a football club, you have to be the custodian, a responsible custodian that looks after it. You don't try and extract it for all of the money that you can. You don't try and squeeze it for everything that it's worth. You allow it to flourish. You protect it and you preserve it. And that is not what Todd Boehly's motivations are. So what Todd Boehly and Clearlake are currently pushing is the most transformative ownership type that has ever been devised. And what they are doing is a real threat to the things that we all must value. Heritage. It's so important. Legacy. Do you remember when they spoke about legacy fans as if it was something to be ashamed of? When the Super League debate was happening. Legacy fans. As if it was a dirty word. Legacy fans are the lifeblood of a club. And you know that old expression when people say, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So when Todd Boehly shows us who he is, and he is nothing more than a venture capitalist trying to extract as much money out of Chelsea Football Club as he possibly can, when he shows us that that's who he is and that's what he's trying to do, believe him. Chelsea fans who defend him and Chelsea fans who defend this strategy, I really don't understand it. Okay, you spend some money on footballers, but ask yourself why. So when he reveals to us who he is, believe him. Just last week, he flicked a V sign to every match-going Chelsea fan. He decided to abolish the subsidy for travelling away fans. So Chelsea would put on a coach, subsidise it, make sure that it was a tenner, regardless of the away game. You'd get to the ground early, you'd get on the coach, and the coach would take you to the game. Your cost would be a tenner. Obviously, that's probably a third, fourth even of what it should actually cost. So the club would subsidise it. They've decided not to do that anymore. So the club have decided that it's not financially sustainable to provide a subsidised coach in the same summer where they have broken the British transfer record twice on hugely speculative purchases. So 250 grand a season. There are players who do not play for the first team. There are players who do not want to be at Chelsea, who earn that weekly. 250 grand a year this is going to cost the club. And they have decided that they don't want to do it anymore. So this new model that Todd Boehly has created, this new model that Clearlake are pursuing, is trying to destruct Chelsea. They're using Chelsea, but It's ultimately trying to reshape and change Chelsea Football Club forever. There's a weird theory among football fans, don't you think? There's this weird theory that if you spend a lot of money, then you're a good owner. So spending money makes you a good owner. So the fact that I'm complaining about Chelsea's ownership, people will say to me, but they spent £1 billion. Yes, I know, but you can't want that. That isn't good for football. That isn't good for Chelsea. And it is only good for one thing. Ask yourself why they are spending that money. Weird, isn't it? Football fans, they all seem to be sort of venture capitalists at heart. You know, spend is good, spending more is better, bringing players in equals success. It equals winning the window, as that people so passionately put it. And there seems to be no room for sentimentality, which is so weird because it doesn't chime with what we are talking about. We're talking about football. Football is, by its very nature, emotional. We love our team. We love our players. We love our heroes from childhood. We love our icons of today. And yet, when we demonstrate any sort of sentimentality, people go, it's a business. It's not a business. It's so much more precious than a business. Football fans who suddenly become ruthless mercenaries, ruthless venture capitalists. I just don't understand it. Chelsea fans actually backing Boehly. I don't get it. So why would a group of US financiers whose entire existence is predicated on the ruthless pursuit of value decide to make Chelsea Football Club the most expensive sports team in history? The answer is money. They genuinely believe that European football is undervalued. They truly believe that they can double, triple their investment on Chelsea, an investment that they know they overpaid on. That is what they are trying to do. European football feels like an open frontier to them. US sports and US sports teams are so regulated. The Premier League, European football, it feels like the Wild West. And in the Wild West, some people get disgustingly rich. There are so many unmonetized football fans out there that they're just waiting to be harvested. And Todd Boehly is the harvester. It's amazing how much they've got wrong. Do you remember when Todd Boehly made himself sporting director of Chelsea? Sporting director at a football club like Chelsea. One of the most important roles that you can possibly occupy. Gives it to himself. Todd Boehly is a man who had never worked in European sport before. Can you believe the arrogance? And yet he puts himself in that chair. All of those jokes. Do you remember when he suggested to Thomas Tuchel that Chelsea should play a 4-4-3 formation? It couldn't be true, could it? Or could it? Do you remember when he believed that Chelsea had a God-given right to play in the Champions League? He genuinely said, but we're always in the Champions League. As if we had a predetermined right to be there. Not that we were always there because we generally would always qualify. Do you remember when he had the audacity to go into the changing rooms, to go into the dressing room and speak to players as esteemed and established as Raheem Sterling about their performance? Who does he think he is? And let's mention Eghbali, of course. You know, this isn't only Todd Boehly. Todd Boehly is the public face of it, and he's definitely a problem. But, you know, Eghbali, he is no angel either. Eghbali is the co-owner of Clear Lake Capital, and let's just remember how he conducted himself over the summer. He was told explicitly that Brighton would not accept anything less than £100 million for Moises Caicedo. But he knew best. Of course he knew best. And he was determined to land Moises Caicedo for far less than the 100 million that was quoted, and he was therefore going to win the negotiation because that's what he does. He's going to get this player to Chelsea for less than 100 million quid. Then Liverpool throw a grenade in, and Eghbali ends up paying 25 million pounds more than he anticipated. 25 million pounds more than he wanted to. Do you see the issue with these people? It isn't about 25 million quid because for them, that kind of sum is changed down the back of the sofa. This is about the amount of money that they bought the club for. And it is about turning that into 10, 15, 20 billion pounds. There's no strategy either. You know, all this. We signed Cole Palmer. What a player. Yeah, he is. Fine. Maybe he is a good player. I don't know. He looked very good when he came on the other day. But we didn't want him. We did not want Cole Palmer. We obviously wanted Michael Elise. But they made a pig's ear of that and Palace were going to report us. Then we definitely wanted Emile Smith-Rowe. Do not believe the spin coming out of Chelsea. I know for a fact that Chelsea were desperately trying to sign Emile Smith-Rowe. So yeah, we've got Cole Palmer. But can you see the lack of strategy with this ownership? And that is because you have people who are not football people. You have people who have the ego of being billionaires, pulling the strings and dictating the direction that the club go in. That is why these ridiculous decisions are being made. And there are countless examples of this. We told Aubameyang that we were definitely going to get a fee for him. We would not allow him to leave for free. Anyone know how much we got for him? Romelu Lukaku, under no circumstances, would be allowed to go out on a second successive loan deal. It's the blind leading the blind. We're selling our players to rivals. We're selling our players. Teams in the Champions League, every team, in fact, in the Champions League, signed a player from Chelsea. We got lucky. Saudi Arabia came around. And Todd Boehly obviously has loads of connections to Saudi Arabia, as therefore do Chelsea. And we got out of jail. But please do not be blind to this ownership, the lack of direction, and what they ultimately want to do with Chelsea Football Club. They're using it as a tool for their own gain. They're using it to try and squeeze every penny of value out of the club. And why are they doing that? For themselves, because they are venture capitalists. They would burn that club to the ground if they could treble their investment. They do not care. And the sooner that people, this isn't even a Chelsea issue, regardless of who you support, this is a football issue. Football clubs are precious. They're pillars of their community and they deserve to be protected. No, there we have it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. So please let me know what you think of the points I've raised in this video. Do you agree with me? Do you think that we have a right and a reason to be terrified of Clear Lake and Todd Boehly? Let me know your thoughts. Cheers.